It's Monday morning at 11 a.m., which means it's Disconnected Cast time. Mr. Josh, how have you been?
Well, I just woke up about an hour ago.
How unrealistic is that? We totally would still be sleeping by now.
Yes.
I mean, this is live.
It's live. It's totally live. But yeah, so in regards to my week, just a quick recap on that. Finished my re-listen of The Adventure Zone, the first arc. It's really good. Got to play some games on Switch, more Three Houses. Still haven't finished it, but I'm close. Also, The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. It's a really cute game, actually.
I saw some screenshots of that, and I saw that it was on sale, but I haven't been... it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean...
platformer, or what type of game is it?
So it is a platformer. Okay. I really like the art style. I think my only criticism so far, I haven't spent too much time into it, but sadly, most of that time was the intro, because it does have this kind of fairy tale storybook beginning, but it's pretty slow paced and it kind of drags on. After a certain part, I was kind of like, I just kind of want to get to the game now. But otherwise, it's really cute. It's nice.
Nice.
I recently watched a documentary that kind of sort of released. Right now, they just released like a stream version of it. The physical product hasn't come out, but it's called In Search of Darkness, a 4-hour documentary covering 80s horror films.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. James Rolfe is in it.
Oh, nice.
Lloyd Kaufman of the Toxic Avenger.
That's cool.
John
they also did an episode together before.
Yes. Yep. So a lot of cool names in horror in there. And then also been watching some video essays from a YouTube channel I discovered, Accented Cinema, the one I told you about. A Chinese person who lives in Canada, went to film school, and just does a whole bunch of video essays on foreign films, which I find pretty interesting because I haven't really seen much of that kind of content before.
There you go.
I think that about wraps that up.
Baton goes to Mallory.
Well, it was Thanksgiving, so that was cool. I got to play Xbox xCloud from my phone during it.
Oh, there you go. Are you in the beta for that?
I am.
There you go.
It was very fun. The games look beautiful. You don't get to play on mobile data yet. You're just using your normal Wi-Fi. But, I mean, so far everything is looking good. The only thing was multiplayer was taking too long to find an actual match for me, so I don't know what that goes into.
Right,
but me and my friends,
that part of it.
Yeah. So me and my friend are trying to set up, to see if I can play with him while he's on his Xbox and while I'm on. Because it'll show that you're online on Xbox Live. But we just didn't get a chance to try to play, Gears of War together or some game that we both have. They have the Halo packages on there. So we're going to set that up this week. And then just watching Pokemon gameplay.
Right, because none of us have bought that yet.
Yeah.
None of us have bought that yet. Yeah.
So I'm starting to kind of give in a little bit the more I see from it. It does look cool. I am still salty about Bulbasaur missing, but almost to the point where the game does look really good, where I'm almost like... The only thing that turns me off that I've heard so far is the whole... there's a level cap of you can't... when you're in the wild zone areas, you can't just somehow luckily catch something way above you, because I guess they kind of did that to try to prevent what I did in Sun and Moon, which is wonder trade until I got a bunch of level 100s, and even though they wouldn't listen to me, just started one-shotting every gym leader to the top.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think they were trying to do some sort of as far as I would assume, I don't know any official statement, but that's the only thing I've heard a lot of people get kind of annoyed about, that I feel, other than being a gripe, is a game mechanic thing where I'm kind of but other than that, I almost am cracking, which I believe there's actually, because of Black Friday, some good Pokemon deals going on somewhere. But guess what? I'm not buying it any yet, so there's that. Other than that, did a video on it, and I got to play more of Children of Morta. Really cool stuff. Roguelike RPG elements. Nice. And that is pretty much it for my week in terms of, other than that, just holiday stuff, blah, 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 irrelevant, because this is a gaming news podcast, and we're going to get right into the gaming news right now. So, one of the first things to come up this week is the... by the way, because I know the guy just said, "What the hell?" Because I tuned in here for your guest, not you guys. The guest that's obviously spoiled by the title where it says featuring.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't worry. Later on, Miss Kyla Massie will be joining us on the line. Because thanks to technology, she can do that. And because she had made time and she's very generous and all that good stuff. But anyways, she will be there. Oh God. And it's going to be a lot more organized than this part. But don't worry. She will be there later on. Stay tuned. And also, stay tuned for how awful the Stadia continues to be. So, Stadia's had a lot of things. We're not going to beat that dead horse because the last couple episodes we talked about the pre-Stadia release horror and the post-Stadia release horror. They both had their own problems. Looked bad from a distance. Still looks bad up close. Although, of course, there are a few people that are reporting that it does work well. They are still having, like, the whole order cancellation fluke thing that happened in the email. Another thing that kind of came out, and it just seems to be ill timing, where this just highlights how not ready the Stadia is, on top of just mismanaging. Because Google is just not a gaming platform, a proper one, you know, other than playing your phone games, and even then, they hardly have anything to do with making the games for that. Well, neither than this. But my whole point is, they just can't handle certain things because they've never done something like this before. And one of the things that happened is, remember when we joked about how Destiny 2 was announced free-to-play for Stadia, then eventually just went free-to-play on everything else?
Right, yeah.
Well, one of the things that happened is, a couple of the launch titles, Tomb Raider and Farming Simulator 19, were obviously available to buy at launch. Some people, of course, bought those to play. Then they became the free games.
What?
As part of the Pro subscription. Remember they said they'd give at least the game or so?
Oof.
But people just bought them. So I don't know if the flack came first or if they then were just, or they saw the flack coming in the distance and swerved real quick. So they have refunded the games for the people who went ahead and bought that. But it's just another one of those things where as you're biting into the unbaked cookie, you realize how unbaked it is. Is when flaws like this are still happening.
Yeah.
Like, it's absurd. But that was just, you know, that is somehow one of the only real Stadia faux pas this week, which, given all the other stuff we talked about, not so bad. That's it's you know. Oh, wait a second. There's the fact that with Google Stadia, how do you guys buy your games on your consoles, whether it's Nintendo, Xbox, or oh my
Switch?
God, did I almost say that? Switch, PlayStation, or Xbox.
Did you almost forget the Switch existed?
Your Microsoft Switches and your PlayStation Xboxes. Okay, when you play on those. How do you generally purchase your games if you're not going to do them physically? If you're a person of culture and you're going to do it properly, where do you buy your games? Like, how do you do it? Give me your steps on Xbox, Mal.
Xbox, I just go to the Microsoft store that's on my Xbox and buy it.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And on PlayStation, Mr. Josh, how do you do it?
I usually just go to the PSN store. It's
Wouldn't
right there on the dashboard.
Wouldn't that make sense?
Is that not how you do it?
On Google Stadia, you cannot buy games, at least at launch. I don't know if this has been patched. I doubt it's been patched since. As far as, you know, as of reporting, you cannot buy them through... There is no store in the Google Stadia. You have to whip out the old cellular device, go to the Stadia deal, because, again, Stadia is just a website, as we've covered many a time. And so you just go on, you buy your game in your phone because there's no built-in store in this totally complete console. So that's how you buy games for the Stadia. You go through a console. Could you imagine having to, like, you can purchase Xbox and PlayStation games through your phone. Could you imagine having to do that when it's just like you have it fired up already? Like, of course, you're going to have the contrarians be like, isn't that hard to, like...
I've actually had bad experiences trying to, like, buy something from the PSN store on my phone.
See, so there's that.
It's been, like, super annoying. There are apps in the browser on a mobile phone.
When the site just drops and it crashes and then your page refreshes.
Yeah, it's just bad. There was one time, they probably fixed it at this point, but I remember one time I was trying to buy something through my phone. I think I was at work at the time, during my break or something, and it wouldn't even let me, put in either my PayPal or my credit card information in to buy the damn thing.
I know, it's just how again,
I had that problem with the
showing...
Play Store, too. Like,
and that's even worse, because that's Google's other
that's
store.
Google, but
so that's pretty much
just...
how you're going to buy your Stadia games now.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, so...
I'd never do that.
Well, don't worry, because Stadia, so...
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
In 8 months when it's dead.
Right.
So Pat gives it a year and a half. I'm going to give it 8 months. So
Okay.
we're going to... Both Pats, that's where we're standing on the spectrums.
All right.
One giving a year more than the other. Did I just say half a year's 8 months?
Yes,
Wow.
you did.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Okay, so moving on.
How tired are
there's
you
a game.
tonight?
Okay, so
You mean this morning?
This morning,
this is actually, yeah, exactly. So this morning, right?
Yeah, this morning.
No, I've been over caffeinating myself a lot, and it's
Okay.
causing issues like this.
Okay.
When I reverse crash in the morning before I have the caffeine.
Yeah.
So that's what.
This is a
Anyways,
small
You need
health
more
PSA.
water.
yeah, there you go. Don't reverse caffeinate. So
Your
there's
one reminder
there's
to
an
stay
online game
hydrated.
there's an online game in China that's apparently pretty big called Justice Online. There's this. We hear about these ridiculous case examples. We talked about microtransactions being crazy. Apparently, in this game, Dawn of War in the UK, that person spent over $46,000 US dollars in microtransactions. Their kid did,
Yeah.
which is we talked about other examples of that. This guy willingly spent 1.4 million US dollars on his mobile game Man or whatever it is. They in Asia they love their phone RPG battle, whatever the hell game that is. I don't know, but yeah, $1.4 million on a character in any game, even in a proper any game. I don't even a VR game.
What do you spend that on though? Like,
Making it good,
Yeah.
making them good. All right. Well, their friend mistakenly sold their character for $554 US dollars.
God.
So, bye.
What
What
a horrible investment.
So
It's not even the right dollar. Man, you're not even going. You're not even like going even. Like,
this is the
What a
worst
zero
Pawn
sum.
Stars transaction ever.
I can't even think of the term. The actual term.
That would be like, all right, guys. So this item we brought in is valued at $1.4 million. I'll give you $554.
Yeah.
Deal. Thank you. And you just shake and you walk
What a
away.
fabulous
Oh,
transaction.
Yeah. So his friend
Break even. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, there you go. Delayed.
Yeah.
His friend accidentally sold his character, so there's that.
Accidentally.
He's since filed a lawsuit against his friend and the company that made the game. How is that?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
That's okay. That's weird. I don't know if that's been resolved since, but we'll see where that case goes. I don't know how fast the legal system in China moves, or if they'll even consider that a serious claim. Obviously, that's a serious amount of money. That's for sure.
but I mean, he's the one who spent that much.
Even if you were balling, and it's hard to tell because we're not.
Yeah.
But even if you were balling, I still find it like. First of all, what does this guy do for a living? But second of all, 1.4. Could you even justify running? I know it's overtime. I know. There's going to be the guy who goes, well, Patrick, that's overtime. Okay, I'll tell you what. Okay, even with my loot box obsession on Overwatch, when I was addicted to that before Blizzard done goofed, I didn't spend close to that much.
Yeah.
I spent maybe $1,000 total in loot boxes on Overwatch, and I thought I had a problem. Mm-hmm. Do you even fathom spending that much on a character?
I mean, $1 million is a lot.
Million's a lot. That's the
That's
thing.
a huge amount.
Maybe
I couldn't
$1,000,
even get myself
you know?
to buy on Pokemon Go, guys. So,
Oh my God.
I don't know how I could ever justify spending $10.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't even just fathom spending that much.
I know. So that's why that's a very multifaceted question, because not only what does he do to make this money, but what does he do that this is the priority to spend that much money on?
Like,
Yeah, that's how much he loves this game. Justice Online. You know what I'm almost sure it is? Because I don't know this for a fact. This isn't a gag, alright? I almost feel like it's just one of those games where you click and the guy auto-attacks. Like, I don't know if those are huge in China. I know they're huge in Korea. Which, by the way, coming up later on, Kyla Massie will be joining us. Anyways, I don't... it's just crazy how much some people want to win, I guess. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those things like when I was growing up and people would play GTA and they would just cheat off the bat. You got no real accomplishment of playing the actual game, but you were a big man.
You cheated the game and you cheated yourself.
Exactly. That's how I always saw it. I feel like it must have just been big buffs and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, that's all character building, whatever the case may be. You know, I don't know if it would be, you know, like Metal Gear Survive and it would be an extra save slot. But other than that, it must have just been something to build the character. That's a pretty character.
What is a pretty character?
I was going to say, I'm trying to Google Justice Online, but I just get that girls' clothing store. I don't think that's what it is.
No, it's not, unfortunately. Although an AR Justice Online game would be pretty good. Pokemon Company is going after 4chan and Discord users for leaking the Pokemans that before the game came out. Now, this is one of those things. Now, it's Pokemon Company. I don't know if Nintendo's involved in it at all, but the Pokemon Company for sure is at the helm of this. Doesn't it just seem like, and it's one of those things where, yes, you could argue that just because something's become standardized, you shouldn't stand up for it just because, especially if it's wrong, right? Mm-hmm. But aren't spoilers kind of almost so standardized now that it seems moot to try to just sue random users for leaking? Unless you think that the person is, say that the 4chan or Discord user is from the Pokemon Company and they are breaking, I'm like sure, some sort of policy or non-disclosure.
Yeah.
Unless that's what they're going after. But it just seems like they're just trying to grab whoever and press lawsuits against people from what it appeared, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't state up front that we are searching because we believe, you know, like when Gearbox sent their goons to that guy's door and if they had just done some research, maybe realized that guy doesn't know anyone, at least as far as we know, and also himself doesn't work at Gearbox, so it's not what they thought it was. Because that's what they claimed when they sent those goons out there. For those who don't know real quick, before Borderlands 3 came out, there was obviously a lot of controversies, but one of them is that very popular content creator that loves Borderlands and pushes Borderlands had a bunch of goons come up to his door, and all it really was is Blizzard, excuse me, they're terrible too, but Gearbox didn't realize that one of their streams accidentally spoiled something. The guy reported on it like a good content creator or journalist does, and just jumped the gun and was like, he must have an inside source, and sent a couple of goons to his house to intimidate him to try to spill the beans on something that there was nothing to spill. So, for that, now that you guys are caught up on that, not that justifies it, but if that was at least Pokemon Company's like whole thing, is we think that there's someone internally leaking, so we're looking at the 4chans and Discords where a lot of the leaks came from, and we're trying to sort this. Maybe, but it's all just coming off as I'm mad. This game that came out and still sold gangbuster numbers, you guys still did a bad before it came out. So, I'm not standing up for this. Like, it just seems like spoilers are par for the course. Even tons of major movies and everything that come out, I don't know, just spoilers just seem like a thing. Not that you should like it or you know, whatever, but leaks are just kind of the unfortunate dark side of the industry that's just a thing now.
Yeah.
People try to stay away from them. People shouldn't leak, especially if you're involved in a company that worked really hard to make this cool product. But it just seems so, I don't know, it just seems odd.
So this is like for stuff that came out before the game release?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going after, you know, people who are digging through code or trying to find
like
whatever.
data mining and stuff?
Data mining and whatever.
Oh man, yeah, that happens like so much.
Yeah, think about fighting games in general. How sometimes we just get... This is also why devs shouldn't always put all the content on there already. I understand it makes it easier to just patch in a character or something, but you will get it spoiled. It's something you face as a developer you know will happen. If you put the code in there, someone will crack it.
That's why NRS will usually try to have kind of like a joke file names.
Yes.
Because around Injustice 2, one of the DLC files had a name for Shaggy. So they were just like, what the fuck is Shaggy gonna be in Injustice? At least I think it was Shaggy. It was something cartoon related.
Something to obviously throw people off.
Yeah.
That's so Ed Boon to do that though. To be a big liar. That is just, yeah. By the way, Ed Boon, I'm joking, he's not gonna be on here. No. But I would like to have him on here, that'd be amazing.
That'd be cool.
Another thing that reminded me of was also when Persona 5 came out, I remember Atlas enacted or they announced that because the way the Persona games usually work is at a certain point usually there's that big like oh snaps moment, like when you're like, oh, things have just like exploded, or the story has changed so drastically that they specifically stated that, you know, while they encourage people to stream the game after a specific date, they will probably, I think they were going to issue a copyright claim if you were streaming or posting any content that took place in the game after a certain point of time in there. I don't know how many people might have gotten hit if they did that, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
I feel like YouTube's bad algorithm would just do that anyways.
Right. One would think.
But that's a whole separate issue.
Yeah, but that's kind of what that made me think of. But, I mean, shit, at least that's not putting goons in your door.
I know, at least
that
that
was
was
I'd be so scared.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, you know, the Borderlands content, I forgot his name already, but I said it enough times in that episode, but I mean, he did admit, and it's what's even scarier is all his, like, his channel and everything, and his Twitter, I believe the Twitter he voluntarily took down, but his just YouTube channel just disappeared like a week after the Goons thing, and like, no one's really heard from him, as far as I know. I didn't follow up on it, like, weeks after that, but at the time, like, all his stuff just started disappearing from the web, you know, and then he did openly state that, like, he was freaked out about the Goons appearing at his door. You know, he said it was two very large, intimidating dudes, bah, 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 at your door, and you're, you know, wanting to ask you a couple of questions. It's just like, you know, anyone, I think, would, unless you're just an absolute edgelord, would, like, just freak out about, like, that's scary. It's just what it is.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. But what isn't terrifying is that in 2021, Battleborn's going away forever. So, Gearbox, first of all, Randy Pitchford, what a legend. He didn't have anything to do with this announcement because ever since the David Eddings thing, he's really just disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, I think finally someone at Gearbox was like, you may be the boss, but please shut the hell up.
Yeah, right.
We're there for a while.
Basically. First of all, for those of you who don't even remember Battleborn, it was a game that came out at the same time as Overwatch. I believe it started production even earlier than Overwatch, but was so similar, people couldn't help but call it just an Overwatch copycat or not as good of a version as the very popular FPS MOBA.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, it suffered at launch because it was going against Overwatch. Then it started to go free to play, in which Randy Pitchford would say stuff like, oh, no. It's like a free trial that you can, like, it was free to play. Mm-hmm. Like, he said it was some, like, nonsense new model that's not free to play. Because first, he just straight up was just like, all these unfounded rumors, these so-called journalists that are reporting this free to play crap, stop. Battleborn is not going free to play. Then they announce it's going free to play, and he goes, "Well, but it's not free to play. It's free to like, you know, start, which is a free to play. Most free to play models is free to start. So it's one of those things. You know, Randy did that. But anyways, they finally announced recently that first of all, I believe as of the announcement, digital sales of the game were halted immediately, and the servers will only be online until 2021. So you have until then. For the two of you still playing it, enjoy, because it's going away.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think the thing with me and Battleborn is that the character design just didn't do it for me. Like, a lot of the appeal of Overwatch is the character designs. You know, the narratives are a bit flimsy because the game focuses more on its gameplay than... They give you little snippets of a story, but there was never, like, a really huge elaborate explanation of what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But the character designs have always been really appealing. Like, the Pixar quality animation, all that stuff, the different personalities and everything. Like, that's always been the thing that drew me to Overwatch more. You know, I saw the Battleborn characters, and you don't even need to talk about how some of the ways they play and animations were a little too similar sometimes. Especially Paladins was another one, and that one's still doing great. Yeah. I don't know, like it's no Overwatch, but in the free to play circuit, I think that's what killed the Battleborn is they were too late. They ran to one side of the goalpost and then got beat there. Then we're like, well, I guess I'm going to try the other side, and then Paladins had already gotten secure there because Paladins has a pretty big following still. Yeah. So, anyways, but you were going to say, Josh, right before I just kept ranting about the character models and everything.
No, I think it had like a number of bad things about it. I think what they were also trying to do is do that whole capture lightning in a bottle, because but like twice.
Yeah.
Because they did it with Borderlands.
Yes.
1 and 2. And then it felt like they were trying to just make another Borderlands game, because I remember watching some of the... I think it had a story mode in it, or it had some type of campaign.
Don't recall, but probably.
Yeah, and I remember watching it, and I was just thinking, like, this just sounds like recycled Borderlands material. It doesn't help that the characters are kind of
Yeah.
Like, maybe there's one or two that kind of pop out. Otherwise, everybody else just kind of...
Everyone remembers the Mushroom Man.
Yeah.
Whatever their name was. It wasn't, like, tall, skinny, and, like, had a weird mushroom head or whatever. At least.
Big, beefy guys with the guns.
Yeah, a lot of... Other than that, everyone was just so generic. Even Mushroom Head Man wasn't really the most unique. Because I don't even remember his name. Mm-hmm. But... I at least recall him, like from the cover, he was kind of all up in center, and then, I don't know if he was supposed to be the mascot, but all I know is I at least recall him, but that's one out of, I don't even remember how many characters, because again,
no
so generic. It had a lot of things working against it, not to mention...
Plus, seeing the gameplay, it just looks so noisy visually.
It does look a lot, because again, I think you're right there, where it kind of drew cues from Borderlands, but the difference is, Borderlands... benefits from the chaos, whereas a game like a more strategic game like Battleborn, the noise and the distraction was a lot more detrimental than it was helpful. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Mallory, did you play Battleborn? Are you trying to look up what Battleborn is?
I've heard of this game, but the mushroom
Don't worry.
Guy's name is Nico. I mean, I like some of these characters, but I didn't even know this game existed.
Don't worry, in about a year, no one will know this game
so...
existed. So, I think Jim Sterling put it interesting where he said that instead, where at one point he thought Battleborn would go down in history as that game that wasn't Overwatch, will just not go down in history at all now.
Yeah.
Because such a short-lived lifespan, plus because of Overwatch crushing it. It's just crazy. For those who put their... I joked a lot about Battleborn. I was a big hater, and I'm not a fan of it still. But and I'm not going to... Just because it's funeral, I'm going to, give it a nice eulogy. But what I will say is, for those who did put their blood, sweat, and tears into producing that game, it really is a shame to see something that... You saw what it would have been if it succeeded in Overwatch. That's just that much more depressing to watch your version. And if production on it, as I recall correctly, did start prior to Overwatch, technically, if that is the case, that's even more crushing. The fact that that was your idea, probably, or it might have been Paladins that I think started first. But anyways, the whole thing is to have your competitor just annihilate you like that just sucks. So I do feel bad for the devs. We talked about this before, where, crappy companies like Activision Blizzard may make these bad calls, but we shouldn't call for everyone to get their heads chopped off, because the devs are just doing their jobs.
I wonder if we're going to find Battleborn like the dollar bins.
Yeah.
I do have to say,
although I don't think you should have the right to sell it anymore, because it's about to become a discontinued
Yeah.
service. I think there's a thing against that.
Yeah.
You know what, though? This is actually kind of weird. I don't even think it would, but I was going to say, it'd be kind of funny just to... I would like to find a copy, like, for dirt cheap, just to kind of be like, look at this
sealed
fucking...
copy of Battleborn Relic.
Yeah, just like, look at this relic. I would say, like, possibly get them now, because what if that turns into a weird collector's item?
Yeah.
You never know sometimes. Sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Unlike the Fallout 76 helmets that have deathly amounts of molds.
Yeah.
And the bags that aren't the right bags.
And the bags that aren't the right bags. Those actually may become real collector's items. So you're right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
There is one Battleborn character. His name is Oscar Mike. And I don't...
Oscar Mike?
Yeah.
Just OM?
Killer Mike's cousin? Oscar Mike?
Oscar Mike. I want to know his story.
How do you not remember Oscar Mike? We'll never know now, because...
We'll never know.
Well, just the mystery of Oscar Mike. It'd be funny if, like, all these... If a movement happens where all the love for these characters actually turns them into a cool form of unofficial media.
Yeah.
That would be a thing. But yeah. Alright, Mr. Josh. Where can people find you on the internets?
You can find me for Instagram and Twitter. That's at Joshiro Joestar. And on YouTube, ShiroPlay5.
Miss Mallory?
You can find me at Instagram at awesome_Melly. And that's about it for right now.
And you can find me on all the places at ZD Rocker. You can find all my endeavors at slimationentertainment.com. And you can find all episodes of Disconnected Cast at disconnectedcast.com. Real quick on our ad spot before we have Miss Kyla on the line. Waiting there real patiently. Don't worry, she was sitting there the whole time. It's just there now. But real quick before we get that, our final ad spot for Radio Public. Radio Public's sponsorship thing is coming to an end. They're going to retool it. It was more of a beta thing that we were thankfully able to be a part of. Okay. We got what we got out of it, and there's that. It wasn't, an insane amount, but it was nice to see that for those of you who did give us a spin on there, we really do appreciate it. The fact that there was even something in my final email of the final earnings is like crazy, to think that there's even anything in there. Yeah. So thank you all who actually did go into that link and check that out. But Radio Public will still continue to be an app on iOS and Android that you can check out and support your favorite podcasters still in terms of likes and whatever future sponsorship programs they will have. They did say they're going to retool that program and try it out. Cool. But they did pay out quite a bit, so there was a big payout, which means you guys were doing your job on there and checking them out. Again, that's Radio Public podcast listening app on iOS and Android.
Super easy to use and super fun too.
There you go.
Check it out.
Yeah, I actually recently downloaded it and got to try it out myself.
There you go. All right, and now we have Miss Kyla on the line, and she's going to be joining us. Kyla, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. This totally organic cut-in is this is it. Anyways, no. But thankfully, Kyla's taking time out of her super busy life to take some time with us, so we're really, really glad to have you on here. For those who may or may not know, they've seen her on YouTube. She currently is at 37,000 in subs, and of course, tons and tons of the klassies on Twitter and other social media. But some of you all may know her from Pristin, which we all miss. Awesome K-pop group Pristin. So we'll have a few questions regarding that, but we got a few things going on here. So how have you been lately? How's everything been going in terms of what's been up with you lately?
It's been very hectic, I can tell you that for sure. I've been out of school for the past 2 weeks due to the shooting and also Thanksgiving break, and we're starting school up again this week. So it's been sort of hectic, I guess you could say, with my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just trying to take things one step at a time when it comes to life, I guess.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I still forget sometimes that, and I took this into consideration when we first when we first reached out to you and I was trying to get you booked, is the fact that you're still in school having to get up early and all that fun stuff. I certainly don't miss.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to take that into consideration, which is why, I'm glad that the time zone difference kind of gave us a little bit of a buffer. It's what, 8 over there, I think?
Yes, it is.
Except that this is totally live at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on a Monday.
On a Monday.
Which Kyla's not cutting class to be here. No, so this is obviously... everyone knows it's pre-recorded by now, but for those who don't, obviously this part's pre-recorded. No, that's good to hear, though. When do you graduate? Is that soon?
I'm graduating this spring.
There you go. So yeah, not too far. What do you have any post plans? Are you gonna basically just take a break for a while? Are you gonna hop right into the old college, or what do you? Or I guess depends on where you're at the time.
Yeah, I guess it just depends. But the main thing is obviously, regardless of how my career goes, college is always going to be a thing that I plan on pursuing, just because I find education to be a really important aspect of my life. So even when I was in Korea, I was constantly studying, even with my busy schedule. So I think regardless of where this all takes me, education is still one of my main priorities.
I think that's honestly one of the things that really, when I see, obviously I see it through a looking glass. So a lot of the stuff I see from idols is obviously from the reality shows and everything. But one thing I think that is so interesting about that is how many of them are, especially when they start at such a young age like you did, are balancing school, personal life, and the idol life, which is nothing to shake a stick at, for sure, the type of training you guys go through.
Yeah.
Did you ever once...
It's incredibly busy.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, yeah, totally. So it's nice, though, that there's so much emphasis still put on education. You know, I think a lot of celebrities here in the States like to do, you know, not to generalize all of them, but it's more often in America that people cut and run. You know, once they hit it big, they kind of almost always drop out of school, which is crazy to me. Like, you know, at least, and I was raised on education being important. So it's nice to hear that you still do want to pursue that regardless of the direction your career takes from here. So that's really, really cool.
Yes, I think it really just depends on the person and whether they, I guess, are interested in education. Because I know a lot of, like, idols, too, who don't really focus on school as much as they focus on, like, singing or dancing or, you know, acting, things like that, because they find that to be their main priority. And obviously a lot of people have different paths that they want to take. And for me, it's always been, like, I love this, like, I love performing and whatnot, but I always wanted to have, like, a backup plan just in case. And I also found education to be, like, a fun part, I guess you could say. I know it sounds kind of lame, but I love learning new things every single day. And I think it honestly just depends. Like, I know that a lot of entertainers typically tend to just focus on, like, their career at the time, but I'm the type of person that sort of likes to look ahead and see what I'd want to do, like, 10 or 20 years from now.
Absolutely. So with that being said, was there any time when you were kind of juggling all that and you were, you know, getting ready to debut and whatnot, was there a point where you almost did feel overwhelmed to the point where you were kind of debating if I had to choose between Idol and kind of just focusing on school entirely, that you kind of came to that crossroads, or were you already so far?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. When we first were about to debut and, like, promoting at the time, I wasn't really able to focus on, like, schoolwork and whatnot, just because we were spending a lot of late nights, a lot of time just focusing on getting ready, like, recording, you know, focusing on the choreography and whatnot. And then right after that, we had all of our promotions, which also led to, like, late nights. So I really slacked off at the time, and I ended up having to get, like, extensions from my teachers in order to, like, turn in everything on time. So it was really overwhelming, but I think in the end, like, with that extension, I was able to get everything done, luckily. But yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of points in my life where I was, like, contemplating what exactly I wanted to do with my future. And I think in the end, like, if you have a will, like, you find a way somehow.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No, definitely. When you first got contacted back after auditioning, did you have that moment where you weren't sure if it was even legit, or did you kind of know right away? Like, did you get that call and you were like, is this even for real, or is this a scam? Or, like, because I know some idols have had that happen to them where they get a call and they're not even sure to believe it or not.
Well, when I first because I was casted to audition for Pledis, and when I was first casted, it was while I was at this survival program audition. It was K-pop Star that they held in LA several years ago, and this woman came up to my mom and she asked her if she could meet her in the bathroom to talk about something. So my mom was like, this sounds incredibly shady, but I'm gonna go for it. So she, like, snuck off to the bathroom. She met with the lady, and the lady gave her this business card. And from there, a few days later, my mom and I ended up going down to this hotel to do the audition. And the entire time, we were thinking, oh, my God, this is so shady. But, like, I was 8 years old at the time, so I didn't really understand what was going on. So I just went in, I did my thing, and then, like, a week later, I think, like, around then, they called, and they were like, oh, yeah, we really, really want you. At the time, I guess I was thinking about, like, different companies, too, just because, like, once you sign a contract, you're with them until you debut and, like, after that for, like, 7 years. So I was like, okay, I really need to think about this. I mean, it was obviously more or less my parents thinking about it rather than me, just because I was so young. And, you know, in the end, they came to my house. They were like, okay, we signed you up for dance lessons. You know, we really want you a part of our team. So, like, you can just think about it. And then, like, by next summer you can decide whether you want to actually sign with us or not. So that was basically what we did. And the whole process was sort of like, looking back on it, it was pretty shady. But, I think it was a good opportunity. And I took a chance and it worked out. And I think that's all that matters.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, first of all, real quick before I forget, when it came to getting extensions, were the teachers aware of why, or did you just generally ask for an extension?
Oh, I explained it to them, and I think that most of them knew because it was an online course because I was homeschooled using an American-based program.
Oh, okay.
And I had a main teacher who handled basically everything, and then I had several teachers who taught like a specific course, and I had to like email each one individually asking for like an extension for certain things, and I definitely had to explain why I needed it, but luckily they were nice enough to give me like a month extension for it all.
Awesome.
So I got it all done, but it's kind of funny seeing people's reactions. Like, I think that they sort of know my situation beforehand, but it's always fun to see them be like, what? Seriously?
Absolutely. I mean, that's just one of those things where I'm sure you still have moments where, now that you're done with that, at least for now, does it ever sometimes seem like it was all like a kind of like a dream because I'm sure a lot was going on. Like, it must have been crazy.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's still like some times where like I look back and I'm like, oh wait, this actually happened. So sometimes it just feels like this weird fever dream, I guess you could say. And then I'm like, wow, I actually did that, And looking back, it's like, okay, if I was able to accomplish that, then this problem that I have before me really isn't anything. And that sort of helps me, especially nowadays when it comes to overcoming certain obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was an incredibly interesting experience that I definitely think not everyone gets to go through throughout their life. So I'm really grateful for that. Whether it was good or bad, I still think I definitely grew from everything that I learned.
Oh, absolutely. That's and that's just really cool. I can only imagine because I've had compared to the experience you've had, minuscule things happen to me where I still watch footage back and go, that did happen. It's like it's just one of those things where sometimes it's stuff that can happen to you just seems so surreal. But it's really cool that did happen. I really do appreciate that with all that went down, especially when you all disbanded. How kind of positive you were throughout that light. I think one of the things that bothers me the most is people on social media are always looking, they're always safe on the other side of that computer screen, that they tend to say stuff that's very insensitive or whatever, or they want to like have everyone quote unquote spill the tea or get very toxic.
Of course.
And I think
a lot of people have done that, especially to me. Like, a lot of people have reached out to me or blamed me for certain things because I did go on hiatus for a long time, as a lot of people know. And because of that, a lot of people have put the blame on me, saying that I'm the reason why like our group disbanded, when obviously a lot of things have happened behind the scenes that, they're a bit difficult to share.
Absolutely. Which we don't want you to be uncomfortable with that for sure. But yeah, and I saw that, and obviously I'm a big fan of Pristin, although, we more so came across this crossover because you're kind of going now, the whole YouTube content creator phase, we have a little bit more crossover in terms of something I can relate with, because aside dancing from the local K-pop nights at the club, I'm not necessarily any idol experience at all, but it's interesting to come close to you through this experience and everything in terms of like that, and but yeah, and that really did bother me when I'd see that, because obviously I have kept track of the group and everything, and you being a big part of that group. My roommate, the person I'm currently living with right now, by the way, you were her bias, so she just wanted me to tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
So, we were always really bothered with how social media kind of went through that. They just make so many assumptions, and they just jump to conclusions about anything that happens, whether it's the recent unfortunate suicides or anything like that. They don't have any chill in terms of like stepping back and being like, the people who this affected, like, let's consider maybe some facts first before popping off at the mouth and going crazy with that stuff.
A lot of people are sort of inconsiderate when it comes to these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, there are a lot of situations that are difficult to explain. Like, physically, it's just, and like mentally, it's just so difficult to explain. And then people who aren't directly affected by it complaining about that and then causing all of these rumors and spreading it, saying, oh, I heard this, oh, I heard that, when it's really just, assumptions. Yeah. So I think, like, in the end, people need to learn to just sit back and listen rather than, I guess, spreading false rumors and insensitively explaining things just because, like, you know, especially when it comes to K-pop, I know that a lot of things they've been sort of a mess lately, I guess, if we're being quite honest. Yeah. And, you know, instead of listening and waiting for the people who are directly affected to speak out about it, they start rumors and they start spreading things, which I find very frustrating in a sense. Mm-hmm. Like, unless you hear what actually happens, you can't assume or think like, oh, this definitely happened. Like, there's so many things that happen behind the scenes, especially in the K-pop industry, that people don't know about. And instead of assuming, I guess you could just either wait or respect the fact that they don't want to share these things, you know, just because they are incredibly sensitive topics, regardless of what it is. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that pertains to, like, everything in general, I think.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. And that's what bothered me the most is just, like, I had to speak up about it myself in terms of, like, you know, out into the social media void where I was just like, think about it. The girls are already going through this themselves. They're already having to, you know, go through the fact that the disbandment was announced, you know, who knows what led up to it, so on and so forth. Like you said, there's so much that go on behind the scenes that there really is a lot to consider, that, you know, because you have all sorts of people who are going, like, and we're definitely not going to go to that red zone, but everyone's pointing fingers, you know, you, Pledis, you know, who's to say what, but regardless of how it went down, everyone needed a scapegoat so quickly. Like, within minutes of the news being official, everyone was just spouting their conspiracy theories. Everyone was looking like, you know, like a Charlie Day, you know, board meme with all the yarn connecting to each other.
The string theory.
The string theory, you know, everyone was on that deal already, where it's just, like you said, I think you put it really well right now when you said, maybe sit back and then, you know, maybe talk amongst yourselves, you know, because obviously you may have all these things where you're wondering or you want to talk amongst your friends or whatever, but let the people who are actually involved be able to digest it real quick, you know, considering what's going on, and then speak up about it, you know. So
yeah, it was definitely rough for us at the time, and you know, things were rocky because it was something that we put so much time and so much effort into, and then obviously we never wanted us to disband. That's not something that you work, you know, several years for just to, you know, end up not doing it
longer,
and not being able to continue it. And it was ultimately, though, I think that we all came to a similar conclusion where, you know, it was best for us to go our separate ways. Like, obviously things were sad at first, but we thought about it. We sat in a circle. We talked about it. We talked about, like, future plans, things that we wanted to pursue. You know, obviously we still keep in good contact with each other, and we reminisced on all of the good times, and we talked through what exactly was happening, and I think we all sort of knew that this was where it was leading to, and while we were in denial for a very, very long time, I think, like, it came to the conclusion where it was best for everyone, and we all just decided to focus on the positives rather than the negatives. And while it's absolutely terrible what happened, and I know that no one was able to predict it, I think that we all just decided, like, instead of focusing on all of the bad, let's just focus on the good. Let's focus on our future. Let's focus on working hard so that way we can present better products to the people that still love us and still follow us. And I think that's just the main focus. So, like, the reason why we disbanded doesn't matter. It's more or less just focus on what we're going to be doing now with our lives. Just focus on supporting us in our separate journeys. So I think that was
Absolutely.
the sort of message that I wanted to convey to people, because I know that a lot of people wanted an actual explanation about what happened. They wanted me to spill the tea and like go deep into it, but these things they're really personal to all of us, and we didn't really want to go in too deep. Instead, we wanted to just focus on what's going to happen rather than what did happen, just because we thought that was what's best.
I absolutely agree. And to be quite frank, I think that, unless it's going to undo everything, I think, like you said, why not just focus on, remember that it was great while it lasted, especially, us highs have great memories, and, we still have that music we can always enjoy. But more importantly, you all are still there. You all aren't going anywhere, and it's nice to see that when you launch your social media and everything, and then you showed interest in YouTube and everything, that everyone's, all your supporters have been there, through thick and thin, and, let the haters hate, but it's been really nice to just see you get through all that, because you did take a lot of undeserved flack, because I think that any of the true fans honestly knew that you wanted to continue to do that as much as everybody else, So, like you said, it's not important, it's just crazy, you see all those tabloid articles, like, even if you announce that you're going to do, like, a Q&A or anything, like, even one like this, it may just lead to clickbait titles of, like, oh, she's going to tell all about whatever, and, and like you said, a lot of that stuff's personal, and there's some of that stuff that people just shouldn't know. It's just one of those things where I'm glad you did convey that message, because I think that that's really what people need to focus on and move on,
I think it really comforted a lot of people. I know that a lot of people still were upset at me for sort of, I guess, quote unquote, dodging the question. But that's really what I wanted to focus on. I wanted to focus on the positives. I wanted us all to just move on from it. Like, we had a great time while it lasted, and unfortunately, we can't turn back time. What happened happened. And now we just wanted to all focus on doing better and showing our fans like the real us, and being able to pursue things that we necessarily weren't able to pursue before. So I think that that's been great, and I love how much everyone has sort of grown during this time. Like, I've seen all of them just mature so much and be able to pursue the things that they once weren't able to pursue, and I find that to be incredibly rewarding. And while it was sort of terrible what happened, like, seeing how much happier people are now, like, I think that's also what makes me happy.
Good, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, that's not sometimes, that is always the most important thing at the end of the day. So I am really glad to hear that. What was I going to say? So, yeah, I mean, because even when, what was the name of the new group? Is it Hinapia? Is that how you say it?
It's Hinapia.
Okay, so when they debuted, it was nice to just see you, right there with them, cheering them on, and getting people to stand them and whatnot, because, they are your sisters still, and it's nice to hear that you all are still keep in touch and everything. I think that is just, as fans, that is one of the things that we really are happy to hear about, is that you all are still good. I think that at the end of the day, regardless of what happened, the fact that you all are still tight is what makes everyone really happy in the end. So,
yeah, definitely.
So turning it lighter, because that got, that was necessary but deep. You were neither on Running Man or Knowing Brothers, right?
No, I don't. Yeah, we weren't on there.
If you could have been on either, do you have a favorite between the two that you would have loved to? I hope this doesn't spark a Knowing Brothers versus Running Man war, but was either of them kind of your show you would have really loved to have been on?
I love both shows, but I think like I have watched Running Man for so long, along with like my family. So that's sort of been like a family thing that we did, especially when I was younger. And I think like it would have been really, really fun to have gone on there and just, gone through every single challenge and just see how well I could do when it comes to those types of situations. So,
right.
If I had to choose between the two, it'd probably be that one.
Nice. Yeah, I see whose name tag you could rip off and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Which is always it always looks so high stress, but so fun whenever they do those sections. It's really, really, yeah. But no, that's cool. That's awesome. I really would have loved to see. I think like. That's like my dream goal is like every group I stand should be on there. So that's how it should be.
Definitely.
But no, I'm glad you really like that. Do you have any cool stories in terms of interacting with a senior group that like was a dream come true for you? Is there any groups you touched elbows with that was just like shocking and almost unbelievable?
So like we've met a lot of our senior groups, obviously, just because like during promotions or during like concerts and whatnot, like we see each other. But I think the one that like we really were all shocked by was when we were performing. We like at the time, like we met Sunmi. So she was performing Hashina, and we were all just so in awe of her, and she was so nice. Like she'd come up to us and like she'd talk to us, and I think that was like really one of my favorite moments of like being able to meet one of our senior idols.
Awesome. Yeah, I know for sure. I've heard tons of stories of how awesome she is. Like I think there's that story where I believe was it Red Velvet, I think, was like at a restaurant and she like paid for their meal or whatever, like because she happened to be at the restaurant at the same time or something like that. I believe it was Red Velvet, so I apologize if I'm misspeaking. Trust me, Twitter will let me know if I said that wrong. But I believe that was the case. But regardless, she bought some of her juniors a meal, and it was just like, it's just cool that, I think that's one thing that's interesting about the Korean culture in general is kind of like the respect for seniors and stuff like that. So I've always found that really interesting about the culture and everything. All right, Idle Time. That was fun. For people who are wondering, this is a gaming podcast. I know. So we're going to get into it then. I know you've been really busy. Has there been any games lately that you've been able to at least try to get some time in or been trying to get some time in?
Oh, I mean, the main game that I play at the moment it's Minecraft. Like, I know that that's like such an old game, but it's like the one thing that I actually take time and play.
That's really good.
I'm not any good at it. Like, I die every 5 seconds, if we're being quite honest. But it's fun, and I've played like different mods with my friends while, talking on Discord, and that's always been like a fun moment out of my week, I guess you could say.
For sure. I know that when I see in your social media feeds, that's one of the main things people want you to publish. In terms of your YouTube, I know you have a lot of ideas and a lot of directions you could go with it. Do you have a general idea yet, or is it still brewing what you're kind of trying to focus the YouTube channel on in general? Because I see you got your art on there in the Q&A.
I think it's still been... I mean, I haven't really been able to be as active lately just because my life has been so hectic with everything that's been going on.
For sure.
I mean, I'm still not quite sure which direction I want to take it in. Honestly, like, I have so many different things that I want to just pursue. And rather than having, like, a specific channel, like, beauty or gaming or anything like that, I just want to piece a little bit of everything and bring it all together into this one crazy mess. That's honestly just the main thing that I wanted to do when I first started YouTube. And I think that's what I'll probably like pursue. Like, I just want to show people who I really am. Like, I know when I was in Korea, I was pretty introverted. I wasn't very talkative, and like I was pretty shy. Like, I was young. Like, I didn't really have that bright and bubbly aspect all the time. And I just really want to show people that, like, I can be talkative and I can be, bubbly, and I can be all of these different types of characters. And I just really wanted to express, like, my actual opinions and show people the me that I really am, rather than having to just, try so hard to please everyone, I guess. Because I know as an idol, there are certain expectations that you have to hit. And, like, just at the time, I was very focused on just getting things right and having people like me, because I know that a lot of people like, I received a lot of hate just because of, like, my appearance. So I really wanted to, like, make up for that by, I guess, being just nice to everyone.
Absolutely, and that's good. That's a good message.
Right now,
I'm just,
I'm at that personality, and I'm at that point in my life where I'm like, I just want to do me. Like, regardless of whether people like me or not, I just want to show them the type of person that I really am. And you can like me or you cannot like me, but this is me.
Absolutely, and that to me is the most important thing. I think that a lot of people, ever since YouTube became a lucrative business, people have kind of forgotten the idea of YouTube is self-expression. So, I think that doing content that you want to do and then try to see who else likes it is more important than curating content to only, for other people. You're doing you first, and then you're like, who else can vibe with me? And that's what's more important, is connecting with people who are more like-minded or are into what you want to be into, as opposed to forcing yourself to take a certain, throw it all down a tiny funnel, basically. So that's good to hear. Good to hear. I think that if anyone is going to find a way to mishmash all that together, I'm sure you'll find a way to do it. Even if it's doing makeup tutorials while playing Minecraft, something like that would come about.
That's an idea.
But yeah, no, definitely. We're definitely excited to see that regardless. But yeah, it's cool that you are even able to get some gaming in there regardless. I'm assuming on PC or...
Yeah, it's on PC. I don't really do, I guess, controller games.
Oh yeah, any of the console
like Xbox
ones.
or PS4, things like that. I haven't really been a very big fan on that, just because, like, I don't know how to work a controller most of the time. My brother, he plays a lot of games, and I've seen him play games in the past and whatnot, and I just look at him and I'm like, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, for sure. What were some of your favorite games growing up? You may not have had time lately, but obviously started the Idol auditioning and then training when you were very young, but any games kind of in between? I believe I read something about Sims in the past, but maybe I was wrong. But
I did play Sims for a while. I totally forgot about that. I think that there are certain games that I sort of constantly come back to. Like, I play a lot of games on my phone. But, like, when I was younger, I used to play, like, this... I forget what it was, but I think it was, like, Call of Duty Zombies, if that's even a thing. It was, like, some sort of zombie shooting game that I played a lot of. Kind of bad at it, but, it was fun.
There you go. Hey, that's what it's about.
Just in general, like I love simulation games. So things that are like building or creating, like, that always excited me, I guess, when it comes to gaming.
Good. Especially with Sims, that pretty much covers a lot of that base in terms of making your own characters and kind of stepping into the shoes of these people, and whatnot, and
building the house,
doing your own thing, building the house,
definitely.
designing it, and all that stuff. But yeah, no, that's cool though. That's your type of thing, is something that lets you express your creative outlet, which obviously from everything you've done from music to content creation, and I'm sure even in school, as always, trying to create and do your thing, so that's really cool that it kind of all ties together with what you're interested in.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind. Kyla, have you tried it's gonna sound weird, but have you tried the Minecraft Earth game on your phone?
I haven't. I heard some mixed reviews with that. So, I haven't tried that yet. I've always stuck to PC.
Oh, okay. Because my nephew had me download it, and I don't know if you've ever played an AR game on your phone. It's really fun because you can actually build with your friends, like, through AR.
Oh, really?
So if you want to give it a try, I definitely would say just try it. I don't really like Minecraft, but I mean, I play it with my nephew, so...
Yeah, definitely. I will give it a try.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Yes, there's other people in the room. I know. I've just been. It's like if this was televised, it would be like a spotlight on her and me, and you can kind of see the silhouettes of the co-hosts in the background. But there's that.
I was just thinking about that because I've been playing a lot of AR games on my phone.
Good.
So.
Yeah, no, good on that. Josh, anything you want to ask?
But I'm the same way, Kyla. Like, I suck at Minecraft. Like, I don't know how to do it. I die a lot.
All right, so there.
Yeah,
okay.
I play with my friends, but they're so much better than me that I sort of like stand around and like collect materials, and that's about it.
Hey, that's usually my job in Minecraft. When I play Minecraft, that is me. I'm not the one building like the huge, massive like skyscrapers or doing the red ore or whatever, like the little crazy contraptions.
My nephew, the 9-year-old, he does all that. I'm over there like building a house. I'm like, look at my house.
Honestly, I think that some people, I think it just comes with the territory of being popular, but some people dog on Minecraft. But one thing I will say is I really appreciate when young people are super into, I'd rather they be into something like Minecraft and flex their creative mind than some of the other stuff, honestly. And I'm not even an anti-video game guy, even though the people who listen to this podcast would think otherwise with how much I scream about everything on here. But I think that it is a cool outlet for people, and I really am glad that the game has been as popular as it has been. So
apparently it's going through a resurgence in popularity, I think. Like it died down a bit, now it's getting popular.
It's really cool to see all this
Yeah,
stuff
it's gained popularity again. I think a lot of people love watching like YouTube gameplays
absolutely
with Minecraft. I know that PewDiePie's done a few, and that sort of made Minecraft's popularity sort of skyrocket again. But yeah, I think like it's sort of been a constant in a lot of people's lives. And, you know, I played Minecraft when I was younger, and then I stopped playing for a long time, and then I got it again just a few months ago. And it was interesting to see how much it's changed, I guess you could say.
Absolutely,
I remember
it's changed a lot.
I remember when I first started playing, and then, you know, like they added the jungle, and there were like those cats that are coming out, and you were like, oh my god, this is so cool. And now you look at it and you're like, wow, there's just so much more to it now.
Yeah, horses and God knows what else now.
There's so much. I don't even know.
Oh yeah.
I think they just recently added a new biome. I don't remember the exact thing, but it's crazy. And then that's not even touching on mods. Like you play on PC, so it's insane. Like that's just a whole nother monster of like stuff that people. That's the thing, man. The PC modding community. There's a reason that PC gaming is arguably seen as the more objectively best platform. Is because some of these modders and the modding communities are crazy. Like straight up like fixing broken games to like modifying stuff like, you know, Minecraft to make it even more fun.
Doing Bethesda's job for them.
Basically, so there's that. So Minecraft obviously has a really cool soundtrack, a very peaceful, serene one. That's perfect for playing a game like Minecraft. Do you have, from when you were playing the few games that you had time to growing up, have any soundtracks that really stuck with you, that the music really stood out to you when you were playing it?
Honestly, I think I was so focused on the game that I wasn't too focused on the music.
Understandable.
Sometimes I'll just like mute the game music and then play my own music in the background.
I've done that many a time too, so much understandable. Yeah. That's actually a defense mechanism when I'm being a big coward and I'm playing like a scary game, and I'm like, the monster's not so scary whenever, you know, if like Pentagon or something's playing in the background, and it's just like, it's not so funny. It's like one of those things. But no, that's understandable, especially depending on the type of game you're playing. Some games really do have a soundtrack or background music that's literally meant to be kind of like throwaway music. Like, no disrespect to the Sims music writer, but a lot of that stuff, since you're hearing it, for people like me, I've dumped hundreds of hours into Sims. The bass music's a little after the few hundred hours.
I think really the only song that pops out in Sims is the one that plays during the loading screen.
Like
I don't remember I'm watching the video, but I hear it, I'm like, that's the Sims.
That's the Sims. Yeah, exactly.
And then everything else is like,
do you watch a lot of YouTube, or are you more of a Netflix streaming services type of person?
Well, I'm sort of a mix of both. It depends on my mood. I mean, like, I binge watch a lot of TV shows and movies, and I guess I am more of like a streaming type of person rather than YouTube, just because it depends on like the videos and the content, and, you know, I guess just how appealing it is to me. But I guess like TV shows are a pretty constant. Like, you have a certain plot line, it's constantly being updated, if not, already all there. And, like, when I have time, I typically just like to watch it all until the end. So I don't like watching TV shows that are, like, weekly coming out. I prefer watching TV shows that are already done.
That you can binge, right?
Because
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't have patience.
Yeah, for sure. It honestly just makes me remember the times when you either had to put aside a time of the day to watch a show or you had to DVR it.
Yeah.
It's just, no, thank goodness for streaming. With that being the case then, relevant sub-question to both, is there a particular, A, YouTube channel you're kind of on right now, and then B, a current show you're obsessed with at the moment?
YouTube channel, there are, like, a few YouTubers that I've consistently watched over the past few years. I guess it just depends. Like, I guess one of the main people that I watch she's this nail artist. Well, kind of. Her name's Pristin, aka Simply Nail Logical. I've watched a lot of her videos just because I was super into nail art a few years ago. I've done a lot of my own nail art designs, and I just love watching her videos and seeing her slowly evolve from, like a total nail artist to branching out and trying different things. And like, she always finds a way to keep videos entertaining. So that's one of the people that I definitely have consistently watched. I love BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yes.
I love, like, scary sort of like people who go into like paranormal type places or talking about like crime and whatnot, and they sort of hit that criteria head on. So like, that's one of the people that I really enjoy watching. But yeah, I guess it depends. And I know that a lot of like YouTubers who were famous no longer are as active, and I don't really keep up with the people who are like famous now, I guess you could say, just because they're trendy and interesting and whatnot, and like they'd like to do pranks or like life hacks, and
I'm
like
so glad
I'm just not that type of person, I guess you could say.
You're a good person. That's what that's called being a good person. So it's good to hear that.
I can't watch them.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Honestly, sometimes
it just seems like such cheap, low quality content at times.
Well, and then the biggest problem is a lot of that stuff is also super scripted.
Yeah.
We've seen people debunk a lot of those channels that try to make it seem candid, and the big problem with that is it's gotten susceptible, usually younger people, and a lot of trouble imitating those prank channels that are obviously safe and fake and get themselves into some dicey situations because they copy something like that. So I'm glad you're not into that. That's good news. How about shows or a recent movie that you checked out lately that you really loved?
Shows, I will always love like The Office, The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, basically, like, sitcoms. I love sitcoms. I've always loved Friends, things like that. Movies-wise, I haven't really had the time to, like, go to a theater and watch a movie. But I love horror movies. My favorite one is Saw.
Nice.
Because I love how, like, intricately planned it was. I watched all 7 movies, like, within like less than a week, I think. Like, I just binged watched it and didn't sleep at all.
I was gonna say, did you watch it when you were younger? Did you watch it when you were younger too?
Not Saw. I watched horror movies when I was younger, but not that one. I watched that one because when I first came on hiatus, when I came back home, I was basically just resting most of the time because of my concussion, and my doctor said, like, oh, you can't do anything too strenuous. So I just spent most of my time, like, indoors resting, and that was the time where I watched a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows, and Saw was one of them. And that's sort of just been, like, my favorite horror movie since then.
Nice.
But yeah, I just love how, like, perfectly planned it was, and I don't like a lot of paranormal type movies just because it seems A, unrealistic, and B, like, I don't know, that freaks me out a bit more than like something that could be possibly realistic, which sounds weird. But yeah, I don't love paranormal type movies over like crime movies, I guess. So like Saw was one of the horror movies that really stuck with me, and I watched like every single one, including Jigsaw, which was really good.
Yeah, that was a good one. Like with Saw, sometimes you have to binge watch them because, like,
Yeah,
I think part 5 was one of those weird ones where they like reference plot points that you kind of just forget about in the 3rd and 4th
definitely.
movie. So, like, I would.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch it all at once for it all to make sense. So everything is like connected, and it all happens around like the same time point. And then if you watch it all at once, then you're like, oh my god, this all makes sense now. But if you were to watch it like certain times apart, then you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, especially the way they were released, like years apart from each other.
They came out annually for a while, so every time one was coming out, I was like, okay, well, I got to marathon them all
like, what happened?
before I watch the next one.
Yeah.
I forgot which one it was, but I saw one, and I hadn't watched the previous ones for so long, and I was just like, wait, what are they referencing? So I had to go back.
What? And then, you check it out.
But yeah, Jigsaw was really good.
I need to check. I never saw Jigsaw, so I need to check that out now.
It's interesting, yeah. I'm kind of
You
wondering if they're gonna make more.
It was really good.
I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram, but they dress their little children up as like main characters from horror films. I'll have to find it, but they have the cutest little Jigsaw kid. He's like riding a tricycle, and he has this big old smile on his face, and I just love it every time I see it. I'll have to send it to you. Because it's just so adorable. I'll have to find that whole Instagram page. Because, I mean, they have one of, like, It. They have one of Trick or Treat.
Oh, my God.
And it's just, like, a bunch of little kids.
Trick or Treat's a good one.
Like, I'm like, yes, this is my whole life right now.
I love that.
And then the next thing was, why did I say that so stilted? Why I know I have the interview questions in front of me, but I don't know why I said it like that. Okay, all right. So what I was going to say is...
I don't know why you made eye contact with me when you did that
either. Because that's when I realized that I said, the part in the parentheses I said out loud. No, anyways, favorite place you've got to travel to, whether it's in the States or overseas, and then what is like your dream place to go to you haven't been able to visit yet?
Okay, so the one place that I loved visiting was Japan. We went there twice. Mm-hmm. The first time was to do our jacket album photo shoot, and that time was really, really fun. Like, we stayed at this, I guess it was like a Japanese version of like Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. So we stayed there for a while, and we did a few photo shoots, and then like we traveled to different parts of Japan, just like taking pictures and videos and whatnot. And that experience was great. And then we came back for KCON Japan shortly after. So I think like Japan was one of the favorite places that I visited. And then a place that I want to visit, like I haven't gone to Europe yet. So I'd love to just travel, like just go to Europe and then just travel to different countries since it's all sort of connected. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I have so many places that I want to travel to in the future, and I just hope that I'll be able to go to them all.
That would be great. And honestly, that would also make for some really... You don't want to always tie your life to creating content, but at the same time, it would be really cool to capture all that and share it and everything, especially like big highlights and moments. So yeah, that is really, really cool though. Definitely. The only European... have I been to any? I don't think I've been to any European countries. Mm-hmm. I went to Japan for like layover, so only visited like whatever was near the airport, and still need to go to Korea. So there's that. But no, that's really cool to hear. Anywhere local that any annual things in the nearby area that you do like doing every year?
I haven't really done anything annually, but typically for like my birthday, my family and I will travel someplace in California that we haven't gone to. Like last year we went to Palm Springs. It was a great place for me to take a lot of pictures because I love photography. So I was able to get really cool pictures when I went there last year. And like the year before, I don't remember if we went any place the year before, but we did go to San Francisco, which was great. I would love to live there someday.
Nice.
Yeah, but like before I moved out to Korea, we traveled like every year. Like one year we went to this really pretty lighthouse. We went to Monterey Bay. Yeah, I think we've been to. Yeah, I forget, honestly. We've been to so many places throughout.
Right, for sure.
Like, just California itself, and we've traveled to different states a lot. Like, when I was born in Indiana, and I still have family out there, so we'd visit, like, neighboring states and whatnot. We went down to Florida a few times because my uncle used to live there. Yeah, things like that. I've traveled most places, but there's still quite a few states that I haven't been able to go to yet.
Have you ever been to the humid hell that is Texas, where we're from?
I haven't yet, but recently a family friend moved there, and they told us to come visit. We just haven't had the time yet. But yeah, I heard that it's really pretty.
It has its pretty areas for sure.
Yeah,
it's
depends.
just humid, but it just depends on
humid AF.
Yeah, it really is. All right, then. So, guys, we know, mailbag, you guys wanted to ask a few questions. So I went through the thing, and if Miss Kyla, you got some time real quick for a few questions from the people that sent them in?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because if she said no, I would have cut that out,
Okay.
obviously. So
I also
we're
feel
good
like
on
we
it.
should
She said
do-
yes.
Okay.
All right, cool. We got the approval. All right, cool. So
I feel like we need to do the whole Blues Clues Mail Time song right there. Because that's what popped into my head when you said that.
right. So user, I know I should put the Blues Clues mail song in here,
It's
but
letters
then
from
we'll
our
get
So many
hit
people.
with a copyright strike.
I know we
and that'll
wouldn't,
be fun.
but
But anyways,
I know we could auto-tune it in
it's
some
cool.
way and just use 20 seconds.
yeah. Some of these questions are going to be from all social media, email, Discord, and all that good stuff. User Feels wanted to know, do you have any particular stories from variety shows that Pristin and you promoted on that we didn't cover yet? Is there anything, any type of things you remember, whether it was on Weekly Idol or whatever, or you remember something kind of funny that maybe not have been on the episode happened?
I'm not quite sure about not being on the episode, but when we went on Weekly Idol, it was a crazy episode. A lot was happening that time. I remember us doing that whole like sort of Pledis, what's that called? Like, you know, all those dances that we did at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite moment was when it was playing one of New East's song, and one of my members, Hongyan, she ran up and she started dancing it. And I love that part so much, just because when we were in the practice room, a lot of the times, like, when we'd stretch or just, like, play around, like, we'd play a lot of, like, our elder group's songs,
Mm-hmm.
like our senior group's songs, and then we'll, like, dance along to it and whatnot. And that was one of the songs that she and, like, Uno would do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they turn it on and then they'd, like, do the dance, but they do it in, like, this over-exaggerated manner that made it just hilarious while we were watching. And it really just, like, it brought up, like, our energy and sort of released all of the tension, especially in, like, the room, because, you know, a lot was going on that day, you know. We wanted to make it feel like a very comfortable environment. And when she got up there and did that, I immediately felt things, like, the tension being, like, released as we
That's
started
good.
doing that whole, like, dance play type of thing. So I was like, that was one of the most, I guess, iconic moments while we were on variety shows. I don't think that we did too many variety shows for sure, but yeah, that was definitely fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. With Discord user Star wanted to know if you, obviously you were in Pristin, but did you work with the IOI girls much, and how was that experience?
Well, all of IOI, I remember, like, we've met them quite a few times, but like, working together wise, we mainly just worked when we all came together in, like, our separate groups.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember them coming to one of our Pledis Girls concerts and performing. That was a lot of fun. And we finally got to see our members, like Karagyung and Nayeon, again. So it was sort of nice to be reunited with them, because we didn't get to see them very often since they were living in the IOI dorm and they were so busy performing. And it was a really nice moment, because while we were doing the Pledis Girls concerts, like, it wasn't all 10 of us. It was oftentimes just, like, 8 of us or like 6 of us because a few were injured and whatnot. And, that was just a really heartfelt moment, just being able to be there all together, even though we weren't able to do a lot of performances together.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, it's really cool to hear that the Pristin girls are so supportive, because like when IOI launched, a lot of the groups, so you would think that, they're going to this like sub thing for now, that maybe they're like jealous or salty, but it's nice to see that it's just like all this love for supporting the representatives that were in this like this big deal of a group, basically, that when IOI was launching, I don't think anyone knew quite how huge they were going to become. So that's really, really cool.
Of course.
It was. Oh, good.
It was just it was. It's kind of sad not being able to see them as much, but we were definitely supportive of them as much as we could, and we all cried once they got announced that they were a part of IOI and whatnot. So I think that there's always been a lot of love with this group, and like we've known each other since we were super young. So I think like just all in all, we have this really, really strong bond together.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, that's basically it.
I know. It's really hard to just go right back into it. I'm leaving this part in where I admit the fact that this was cut a little bit of snip and surgery. And I know it's hard. And then Mallory's making me laugh. Just watching her try not to laugh is making me laugh in the background. So I'm just going to be upfront that this part got cut a little bit. But there's that. Discord user Ellie wanted to know, is there a game that you'd ever been disappointed about, or one you've seen recently that you're kind of hyped for? Even if you haven't had time to play, maybe you saw a commercial or gameplay of a game that kind of was like, I'd like to check that out.
Well, disappointed-wise, I guess when I was younger, I was really disappointed by like that whole Slenderman game that was really, really popular at the time. I don't know why it was popular.
A lot of people wonder that to this day, trust.
Yeah. It was all
recently excited about, I honestly don't really keep up with games as much as I'd like to, just because like whenever I have time I'm just watching things, but like I have a lot of friends who play games, and they've recommended to me like Stardew Valley, which is pretty similar to Minecraft. I heard
you'd love it. You'd love it.
I heard that was really good.
Yeah, that one's really good.
I'd really like to sort of try something different than what I'm like used to. Do you have any recommendations? Because like I really don't like look at things outside of what I'm, I guess, used to, and I don't play a lot of games just because I don't have as much time, nor do I have people who are telling me like, oh, you should play this, or like people to play with, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. So one thing I will say is, if you do need any suggestions, I can always I'll definitely hit you up if I ever think of one, later on. But in terms of recent memory of ones I think you should check out, I'm trying to think, because you're on the PC spectrum, which I also do play on, but there are so many games that kind of have all moving around. A game I think you should try, just because it's one where people either really grow akin to liking it, or they just find it so weird, is any of the Yakuza games. Those are recently out on Steam, on PC. So that is probably a series I would love to see what you think about that, because it's so wacky and crazy, and it does a good job of mixing like a really serious narrative, obviously based on the title Yakuza. You can imagine what it's probably about is the Yakuza, and although they have such a serious like crime thriller main narrative, they have all these really silly side quests and stuff like that. Like they'll have one where they'll have a side quest where, like, it's like, oh, this guy stole this girl's panties, and then he's wearing it on his head, or he's just doing something, like, really ridiculous. But then it goes back to the main, when you continue in the main story, it's all like, oh, we're going to have to kill, like, 3 of our own because blah, blah. These are all fake scenarios, so I'm not spoiling the game, don't worry. But I'm just trying to give an idea of kind of where it's bouncing back and forth between serious and silly, and I think that might be a series that you might be into. I don't know. You guys have any PC?
Okay, cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Any PC suggestions? What do you guys been playing on PC? I know we've all been playing on Switch lately, which, by the way, I think with your hectic life, if you were going to pick up a console and try to get into it, the Switch would definitely
be
one to pick up, just because even I, as like my medium is playing, reviewing, first impressions videos of video games, sometimes find myself not having enough time where I'm always on the go. So the Switch being a console where you could play at home or on the go is a really good. I don't know. I think if there was ever going to be a console conversion, maybe it would probably be the Switch for you if you ever picked one up. So there's that.
Okay.
I think isn't Stardew Valley?
Stardew Valley?
Stardew Valley.
Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Isn't that game on Switch?
Yes, Stardew Valley is also on Switch.
Yeah.
The control layout's a little weird when you get used to PC,
Yeah.
but there's that. All right.
Wait, isn't the Pokemon game on Switch?
That's what I was going to say.
Yep.
So the latest one is out on there.
I love Pokemon.
That's great. And that is perfect for the next user who asked the question, Miss Selfie, a good friend of mine. She wanted to ask you this question, so it's appropriate. What a segue. Who is your favorite Pokemon? That's what Selfie wants to know. We all want to know.
Oh my god, that's so difficult. There's so many
Did you do
amazing
top 5?
Pokemon.
You can do a top 5. Would that make it easier? We don't want to pressure you into choosing the ultimate Pokemon you stan. But if that's the case.
Okay, so I always loved Pikachu. That's I think everyone's always loved Pikachu.
Absolutely. There's a reason they're mascot material. There's just something irresistible about Pikachu. It's so cute.
Exactly. I've always loved Jigglypuff and Eevee.
Nice. I'm liking this list.
Mewtwo and
Nice. Good choices.
I always like Squirtle.
There you go.
Squirtle's nice.
Squirtle's my favorite.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, no. The thing is, they've added so many Pokemon, but if you notice, even in your list, the OGs were just the best.
They were.
I'm sorry, this is why everyone was so up in arms about so many of the original Pokemon missing from Sword and Shield is because they're so lovable. Everyone remembers those ones.
Yeah.
Whether you're fossil like me or someone, fresh and young like Kyla, everyone remembers the OG Pokemon. It's one of those things where it's just they're so good. Did you watch Detective Pikachu?
No, I haven't been able to. I haven't yet. I heard that it was really funny though. I love the fact that they made it the way that they did,
It's surprisingly good. That's the thing that... Oh, Josh just hit the pop filter. It's surprisingly good. It's one of those things where I really didn't expect it to be because, let's face it, most video game to movie conversions aren't really that great. But at the same time, this one was really good. Even at first, a lot of people were scared of the realistic Pokemon, or kind of I don't know how that's going to look. But they do such a good job of making realistic Pokemon still be really cute and lovable. For example, Bulbasaur. That's my boy is Bulbasaur, and he looks so scaly and slimy and what you'd expect Bulbasaur to look like in real life in the movie, but he's so cute still. And the movie just did such a great job of that. Charizard actually looks kind of intimidating. They did a really cool job. Pikachu, of course, cute. Come on, let's face it. Because cute.
How Cubone looked.
Cubone looked great, yeah. But definitely, you should definitely check it out. Before we spoil every Pokemon in there, you should definitely check that one out for sure. And of course, picking up the Switch would allow you to play Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I've heard, despite the missing Pokemon, is probably one of the best Pokemon games that come out so far, because it still sticks to that formula that's been around forever and ever and ever, but has those quality of life changes and refinement that maybe the older games are a little harder to play now because you're locked behind all this stuff. But definitely, if you start picking that up, that'd be really great to start hearing what you think about that.
Definitely.
Brig wanted to know, you went to KCON LA recently.
Yes, I did.
And when you went there, did you see a lot of support from fans still? And if you did, how did it feel to see? I guess it's a very general question, but were you surprised by how much support you were still getting, or people that came up to you?
I was very surprised. I did tweet out saying that I would be going to KCON. I showed up that day and I just posted a picture with my the wristband that they give you, and I was like, "Come find me!" And I was swarmed. The minute that I stepped inside the convention, one person came up to me and asked to take a picture, and then after that, it was just a group because it takes a couple of seconds to get a picture with people, and then once they see you, they're like, "Oh my God, it's you!"
Yeah.
And then after a while, it got so much that this one girl, she came up to me and she was like, hi, I was wondering if maybe I should organize it and have all the fans like meet you at a specific location. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So then later on, like I went downstairs and then I was like trying to find like a good place for us to all meet. And then I already saw them all lined up. Like I went off to that side just to try and like sort of escape for a second and like take a breather and then maybe find a good place where we can meet. And then I saw all of them lined up right in front of me and I was like, oh my God. And there were a lot of people. I wasn't able to stay and take pictures with everyone just because I had to go meet one of my old dance instructors.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so great seeing all these people who were wanting to like take a picture and like talk and interact with me. And I was just like, wow, I still do have fans, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was really great.
Because you were gone for...
There were a lot more people.
That was probably one of your more super public appearances in a while, right? During your time when you were on hiatus?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's great to just come back to that.
Yeah, I was kind of out of sight for a long time. And, you know, like nowadays, I would love to get more active with like social media and YouTube and maybe branch out and try some different things. But, you know, I'm just trying to take things one step at a time and sort of focus on what makes me happy and what I think my fans would like.
Absolutely. And we definitely want to see more of that content from you. If I recall correctly, I remember you sharing like a meme with like Yojin from Luna in it, and
oh yeah.
Obviously,
that
when it comes to Twitter,
a tweet that
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
That definitely blew up, but yeah, my friend asked me, like, sort of as a request for me to tweet that out, and I did because I also support Luna, and she gave me like this picture, and I was like, okay, this is really funny. So I tweeted it out and I was like, Stan Yajin, Stan Luna, whatnot. And that tweet definitely blew up a lot more than I expected it to. I thought maybe 1,000 people will like it. Right. And instead, like a lot of people freaked out because I was supporting another artist. And I was like,
especially with Luna, their fan base is insanely... they're very dedicated, for better or worse sometimes, but I love the fact that they're really, really in there, being part of that fan base myself. Like, as I look at my co-host, there's like several Luna posters right behind them, so obviously a bit of bias there. But yeah, no, I can definitely say I was very hyped to see you tweet that. I guess I don't know if there was any preemptive tweets before that, but I saw that and I was just like, all right, this is the best thing ever. Talent standing talent, and that's what we want.
When we were performing, like as like for Rio and whatnot, they were still during the time of like, you know, like Luna 1/3 and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So they're just performing their songs, and I was like looking at them like, they're so pretty, they're so cute, and I know for a fact that they're gonna make it big. And just seeing how big that they've made it, I was like, I felt so happy for them, you know, like they've come so far from that time to now, back to when like not a lot of people knew about them. Mm-hmm. They were still, I guess, somewhat trainees, even though they were like a few of them were performing and whatnot.
Yeah, that
and just to see how big their fan base is, and to see how much support that they get from, you know, other celebrities, even from people over here, like John Cena.
Yeah, John Cena.
So I was like, wow, that's like amazing.
Elon Musk. Yeah, no, it's been one of those things where it's almost surreal, like. But the girls definitely deserve it. That very ambitious 2-year pre-debut process. I mean, that must have been wow. Especially the girls who debuted so long ago and took forever to finally come back into the scene. But that was a really, really cool project. I mean, when they debuted, I actually linked up with this dude that I had made commercials with in the past, like little meme commercials, and I actually did a Stan Luna commercial for their debut and stuff like that, and it was really, really nice. I'll probably, actually, if you don't mind, I'll probably send you that one. I definitely wanted you to see that.
Yes, please do. I will definitely watch it
for sure. And then Fo, related to KCON, Fo wanted to know if you remember the Pristin slogan guy at KCON.
Yes, I do. I actually took a picture of that. Like, I was walking in, and then I was like hiding behind like my friend. Well, yeah. And then like, I was like taking a picture, trying to make sure that like they didn't see me. And they obviously saw me. You know, I didn't make it that unobvious. I made it pretty obvious. But yeah, I found it really cute. I was just like, I walked in and then I saw them. That really, really made my day.
But I'm really, I'm glad. Oh, he's going to be really glad that A, he wasn't sure if I was going to ask you, and then 2, he's going to be super hyped that you do remember. So that's really awesome. But yeah, no, I just love that. That's the thing. We talked a little bit earlier about how Twitter and sometimes the K-pop fans can be a bit much, but on a more positive note, when they are passionate in the right ways, it is amazing sometimes. Like we talked about Luna's fan base, and then of course, Highs are still so supportive of even Hinapia coming out and being this new group technically. We're all there and ready for it and are always supportive of y'all. I mean, your current followers, that have been there even before you kind of set out on the content creator path, are still there for you. And they always will be, and that's so nice to know.
Yeah, I love that so much. Like, I love how dedicated K-pop fans are. Like, I know that sometimes they can be a bit extreme, but I think that's just because of how passionate they are
Absolutely.
about, the artists that they love and the music that they love. And I love how they fight for it. And I know that there's been so many, hashtags for, K-pop is over party. And that's always been, trending at least, once a week.
Yeah,
and I just look at that and I'm like, the power that K-pop holds nowadays, it's astounding, and I love that so much.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely insane, I mean, just a random tangent real quick. I remember when I first heard about Girls' Generation back in the day, I had no idea that, Psy blew up for a second, and then that was obviously a huge thing. But I didn't know that it was going to eventually lead to what K-pop is now in today's time with BTS, Twice. You're talking about so many K-pop artists busting the US
definitely.
charts and just taking some award shows absolutely over, and the thing all I would really like to convey to all the K-pop fans, with their rivalries and whatnot, is it's good to support success because all that can really do is open up the doors for other groups. BTS being the huge group that they are, have a ton of supporters, but obviously they have some people who kind of are haters of it. But I always told them, why be mad? Let armies do what they do. And all that does is allow your favorite groups to now have this platform, because when people hear about BTS, they start branching out. This is how you hear about stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so,
I've seen so many fans who've been like, I heard about BTS, I like their music, I decided to give K-pop a try, and now I love all of these different groups. And I was like, that's so amazing, because, one group typically opens a door to all of these different groups and all of these different genres. And I know a lot of people like to generalize K-pop as one specific type of sound.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's so many, different types of music just within American pop. People could generalize American pop as this one thing, but it's not that. It's so diverse. And that's the same thing with K-pop. Each group has a different concept every single comeback, a different song, a different sound, the way that they look. It always changes with each comeback. And I was like, and each comeback, they keep on getting better and better. And that's, you just have to take the time to listen and look at it and appreciate it. And just because it's in a different language, don't look down on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think once people give K-pop a chance, they really end up loving it. It's just some people aren't willing to take that leap, I think. But it's definitely grown a lot over the years, and I've just felt so proud at how big it's gotten.
Absolutely.
Even though I'm no longer a part of that. But yeah, I was just looking back on it, and I was like, I was very happy to have been sort of a part of that whole movement, I guess you could say.
No, definitely, and you were a very, very, again, Pristin is one of those groups, of the current generation. All the groups that were related to or spawned from IOI, Cosmic Girls and everything, it's just been so great to see all of you guys blossom, and then even post-group projects and everything like that has just been so great. And, that you will always be there to support you, That's why you have your klassies. And that's why you'll always have, the people that will be there to support you. And beyond everybody, especially beyond the haters, those are the important people. So that's definitely a cool thing that's kind of spawned out of... K-pop is definitely beyond what so many people kind of almost dismiss it as, this, quick flash in the pan thing. It's been around for a while now, and it's only growing. And so there's that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, then. So for people who have obviously been following for a while, and then, of course, for brand new fans who are now super, super into the classy fandom, where can people find you at on the social medias, the YouTubes, and whatever else you'd like to plug?
So you can find me on Instagram at Kyla.Massie. You can find me on Twitter at KylaM_official. And you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Kyla Massie.
All right, there you go. And then we're just going to make sure to follow her at all those places to see all the cool stuff that Jan have coming up. Do you have any, I know you're busy with school. I was going to say if you have any public appearances or anything planned that you wanted to let anyone know that you might be at, but at that same time, you can follow her on social medias and find all that out. So that's what that's for.
Definitely.
So definitely follow her on there. She'll be letting us know. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your super busy schedule to talk to us and be with our shenanigans for the little bit. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Like
I really
okay?
appreciate that.
All right, have a good night, Kyla. Bye.
Bye. You too.
Okay, a lot of fun having Kyla on there. She's
super
oh my
sweet.
gosh, she was super sweet. That was great. And I appreciate those of you who didn't just click off right now. That's right. Don't do that. Don't do that because we got a bit of news
Got
coming
more to talk about, guys.
right now.
Please keep hanging out with
Yeah,
us.
please hang out with us, please. We need friends. So
I get lonely.
CD Projekt Red talked recently because it's going to be Cyberpunk 2077 versus Half-Life Alyx. So that's really interesting that two big releases are coming out. However, CD Projekt Red has expressed they're not too worried about it. And I think they're absolutely right, at least in my opinion, to not be, because again, Half-Life Alyx does have the fact that it's constrained to that platform working against it. Mm-hmm. The fact that it's going to be PC VR only, which is extremely expensive to do. I don't see it really. I'd be curious to see if it will be what Valve continues to call a success. Mm-hmm. Why do I say continues? If it's what Valve calls a success. I don't know. Like, Half-Life's big, but when you're restricting it to VR only,
yeah.
Even if you love Half-Life,
do you love it that much?
Yeah, do you love it that much where you're going to still buy a game you probably won't play?
It's not even probably in the main storyline.
Exactly. And it's not even the main storyline. That to me was the biggest, insult. Everyone wants episode 3. And you didn't get it. Like, that's fucked up. But, would you guys be willing to at least try Half-Life Alyx? Is that something that's in the cards if we get a setup?
I mean, if someone was
Is there any interest? Or one of those things where if it's sitting in front of you, but not really any genuine interest?
I mean, yeah, if it's like there, sure, why not?
Yeah.
If I go to PAX and they happen to have it, I'd be like, yeah, sure, okay, I got nothing better to do.
My friend
Let's
has
go.
it, or somebody gives me a free VR set.
Right. Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Here's a
to
free
me,
VR set.
Right?
because that's the biggest problem I think it faces is I don't think it's going to push units. I think very few people love Half-Life to the point where since it's not episode... If it was episode 3, I would have a different tune. But as just another Half-Life game that's not going to conclude the story and may open up more, plot holes, I don't see it pushing that many units. Few people will, obviously. There are going to be a few fanatics, because we talked about it before, that Valve has their fanatics.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's going to push units.
I don't think it is.
That being said, Cyberpunk 2077, hype for that?
That's
genuine interest.
One of the,
Very cool looking.
Yeah, it's one of the few games that I've actually kind of been looking forward to lately.
Absolutely.
So.
The thing that really got me hyped to hear, they talked about recently, is that it's shorter than The Witcher 3.
It's probably a good thing.
But they did say, though, it's a lot more replayable because of that. Mm-hmm. Now, by shorter, we're talking 80 hours still, so it's still a massive game. Yeah. It's just about 40 hours shorter than Witcher. But they did say that there are so many ways that the plot can go, missions you can do, side quests you may miss, that this is the type of game where half by design, half by the result, it will be the kind of game you probably are going to do multiple playthroughs of, even if you're not normally the multiple playthrough type. It's that kind of engaging game, and I'm very excited to hear that. I think the funny argument of... I think you should play The Witcher 3, but I find some... This had been going for a while, and John and I joked about this for couple of years now that Cyberpunk's been coming down the pipeline very slowly, is that the people who are gatekeeping and being like, if you did not play Witcher 3, you do not deserve to play Cyberpunk 2077. It makes no sense. It's just the same developer. Yeah. And again, The Witcher 3 is great, but it's such a weird gatekeep because it literally has nothing to do with it.
Exactly. That's so weird. It's like...
But there are actually, you can find that people are out there saying, like, well, oh, you're going to hype about Cyberpunk? You didn't play The Witcher 3, so how much do you give a shit about it? Like,
yeah.
You can give a lot of a shit about it. Because The Witcher 3 is not everyone's cup of tea. Maybe you don't like fantasy.
And it's a different genre, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Witcher's fantasy and Cyberpunk is clearly Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Very blatant what it is, actually. Very nice to see out there. If the Tesla truck...
Oh, jeez.
...is in there, that is one of the few DLCs I would allow to be in there.
I love that idea. Me and my roommate were talking about that the other
day.
Like, I want
it. It just explodes. That is still one of the funniest things. The fact that they go, don't worry guys, these windows are so strong they'll be able to stop bullets. It's just the baseball player destroys the window. Mm-hmm. I forgot whatever John's explanation they gave. Mm-hmm. They gave some, but it broke. I'm sorry, it broke. It was like when Apple had that keynote and they couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi or whatever, and it was a huge embarrassing. It didn't work, okay? Did it get fixed now? Yeah, but when you showed it off, not so impressive. Yeah. So, but anyways, I do like the fact that the Tesla truck does look like a vaporwave, like right out of a vaporwave fan art pic.
Yeah,
it just looks like this weird '80s retro.
I want it.
It looks like something out of Cruisin' USA, and I've seen the photoshopped memes.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It is, but it is the concept. But if anyone was going to make it actually look like that, it probably would be Tesla.
Yeah,
Tesla is I'll give them that. Like Tesla, hate Tesla, love Elon Musk, hate Elon Musk. When it comes to balancing his brain and tech developments with being hip and appealing, he is the next Steve Jobs in terms of decent tech or pretty good tech overall, but making it hip, thus price tag. That's basically Tesla.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will give Tesla, though, in terms of having an advantage, contributing more than what Apple would contribute, is the fact that a lot of the technical developments that they are doing at Tesla, this is a gaming podcast, by the way, is really beneficial to the environment and to the industry in general. I'm not even a fan of electric cars, but I still like the fact of all these great strides that they're making in terms of that. So Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular, promotion-wise, that really stuck out to you guys that made you get interested, or just kind of all the general stuff you see from it? Ooh, cool. Did you all watch the really long trailer that ends with Keanu and all that stuff?
It's Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's a good thing to be hyped about.
That's pretty much it.
The only thing that's going to happen, and I'm almost sure of it, are people who've never heard of the genre of Cyberpunk before, and then are going to be
I was going to say, probably to add clarification, I'm stating... the reason I'm interested is because it's Cyberpunk, not because of that's the name of the game.
For those who don't know.
But it is the genre of Cyberpunk. I've been in a huge 80s synthwave kick, and then Blade Runner.
Yeah.
What are some other ones? I know Snow Crash is a popular one, though I haven't read that. Cyberpunk is just a really good genre.
It really is, which is fair enough, Miss Mallory.
So my brother had shown me a trailer before Keanu came out and said anything, and then at E3 when Keanu came out, I looked at my brother watching this. I was like, I'm buying that game. I've loved Keanu Reeves since Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keanu's
a good guy too.
He's amazing.
For anyone who knows his story, which that's to be, he had a rough life.
He has,
but to be such a good person still is just insane.
And so
he's got a cool motorcycle collection too, I believe.
He does, and a car collection.
So.
But he still takes the subway and all that in New York. But he's just a really cool guy. So once he put his name on it, I was like, I am a hard Keanu Reeves mark.
Yeah, it was funny though to see how he obviously is going to be in Cyberpunk. To what extent is still not necessarily clear, but he had no idea at E3 what the hell, he was just in or currently in, depending on how far it was through development. He was just hey guys, Cyberpunk, am I right? And it's just like, it was funny. He didn't try to overfront too much, but he obviously is endorsing it, so he had to like somewhat pretend like he knew what was going on. But it was just funny though. He was just like, this thing that is amazing, the Cyberpunk, great. And it was a lot less stilted than that, but it was pretty stilted. Like there were a lot of awkward pauses and him looking around
I
like
think that's what made
these
it
sweaty
so great.
guys are looking at me pretty like oof, like
I think that's
I don't
what
know
made
what's
it great,
happening
though,
here. Yeah,
is-
but at the same time, it did give its charm to it. But I do like the fact that he also didn't oversell that. Like I'm so educated on this, guys. Like he was just like, yeah, guys, I'm kind of confused, but you're hyped. I'm hyped. Like he kind of had that attitude.
Isn't this his first video game? Like
endeavor at all?
Role?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, he has no foray into it.
Yeah, I know they've made the Matrix video games, but of course they didn't get
They didn't
the voice
license
or
it for
anything.
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I've only played Enter the Matrix. I think they made like 3.
They had a
was the
really
online
bad
one.
MMO.
Yeah, the MMO.
A Matrix MMO should have been cool.
Should have.
So
Yeah.
that's a shame. That was wasted.
Maybe we
like,
can get a better one someday.
It's a little too little too
yeah.
late now, but yeah,
think
it
it's
would have
a
been
bit-
nice.
I mean, we still...
Unless there's a resurgence of Matrix, weirder things have happened.
There's a
Right,
reboot,
like,
aren't
we
they?
still-
Aren't they doing a reboot?
I think so.
I guess if they are, then
Yeah.
depending on that, could lead to what Mallory
Yeah,
is.
I mean,
maybe,
because we
we'll
still
see.
get, Terminator games.
Ew, I know.
Sadly.
And
Jeez.
Alien games. And what was that other one they just released?
The Predator with the bad frame rate?
Yeah, that one.
That's the
we
name
got
of it.
those
Predator
back.
with a bad frame rate.
That's what should be the name of it.
Yeah.
Coming on later in 2020, of course, Josh and I were really hyped about this. Devil May Cry 3 coming to Switch. So, I talked about it before in the past. I forgot if it was when you guys were here already or if you guys were already, but we did talk about when they did 1, we were kind of like, okay, 1. And then they did 2, and we were just like, oh no, why 2?
Yeah.
2's awful. But I did say,
garbage.
like, I think they're just gonna do all of them. And so far, they've been moving at a pretty decent pace to get them all out there. So I think at least by the end of 2020, 4 will probably drop. And if they can work their conversion magic well enough, which has been able to pull off, I would say that 5 will probably... I think that's what they're gearing towards. Building up that hype, letting you get caught up with the saga of Devil May Cry, although there's a bit of disconnect in the story anyways, you can kind of just... probably just do 3, 4, and 5 and be fine.
Okay.
Well, I mean, to be fair though, like if you're jumping into 5, for example, it actually does a really good job of giving you like the story.
So you could just play 5.
Yeah, you can play
Okay.
5. There's like little primers in there to.
And there are a
caught up
lot
to
more
pace.
reasonable primers than what Yakuza does, where you can pretty much watch like a 4-hour movie to get caught up. That's a bit
Jeez.
much. Shenmue also
Yeah.
did that. But yeah. Oh, speaking of Shenmue, I just wanted to bring this random tidbit up. Do you know? Okay, so you've played a game before where there's health bar, stamina bar, maybe a food bar, probably.
Yeah.
like
Didn't we-
Red Dead, something like that,
You mean,
right?
like,
No,
so
I
didn't-
talked to you about that in private.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was while we were having dinner one time. So I wasn't
Okay.
sure if I'd remember
I was just
this
saying,
because-
like, wait a minute, did we talk about this
it's
last
familiar
time?
to you, but to Mallory,
Yeah,
this is going to be brand new information.
I mean,
You have, right?
yeah.
And sometimes it's annoying. Like in Red Dead 2, you're playing your little cowboy Tamagotchi. It's not really that fun because I'm
Yeah.
just trying to play Red Dead, not Tamagotchi Cowboy Simulator. But you have, obviously,
Yeah.
and you got to kind of balance it. You know, your Skyrim, for example, your mana, your whatever, right? The
You
way
rest
they
your
do it in
body.
Shenmue 3. Oh, man, it's fantastic.
What is it?
They have... You have your food, because you can get hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Your stamina and your health as 1 bar. That's right. So if you're not managing your food, you can go into a major battle at, like, almost dead. So if you sprinted, if you didn't eat, then you sprinted to the next fight, then you got into the fight, or say it was by accident, you could be at, like, a quarter health.
That makes me not want to play that game, and that made me twitch really hard. I
It's
don't like
such
that.
a bad
I don't
design
like that.
choice.
Yeah.
Who thought this?
It sounds like really bad game design, just like this.
Yeah, in
world,
general. Okay,
Yeah, like-
so I talked about before how Shenmue's kind of unnecessary now because we have Yakuza. Yes,
Yeah.
it was the that genre, and probably led to Yakuza existing, but this exists now.
Yeah.
We have air conditioning now. We have phones now. Why would you go back? You know, it's almost like they were just like, if we had designed this game back in the day, right? Because Shenmue 1 had its issue where there was like no wait system.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to wait till 5 p.m., you were playing, it wasn't like a real 5, however many hours, but it was a really long time still to get to 5 p.m. So 2 added a wait system, what I like to call the sometimes a wait system, because you could accelerate time sometimes. Then other times you did have the problem where you really had to just kill time and walk around town and play Lucky Hit until it became 5 p.m. It's like they looked at that and said, if Shenmue 3 had come out in a reasonable amount of time too, on Dreamcast or whatever, what bad thing would we have introduced then? And then did the meter thing. It's really, there are so many games that do multimeter management.
Yeah.
That should have shown you that was not good.
Yeah.
How did that make it through?
Like, did no one look at that and say, hey guys, like, no one does this
For a
ever?
reason. For a reason.
It's horrible.
I was going to say, it reminds me of the Lunar game on the DS. That game was bad.
Oh, was it? Did it have something similar to that?
So, okay, so
for those who don't
I
know,
always heard great things about Lunar. What's it called? Silver Song? Or
yeah, there's like at least a Lunar game that's just held to this like pedestal of like, revere.
So I remember they released one for the DS, so I thought I would check it out. And it was called Lunar Dragon Song, I think, because, you know, the fad was that you had to make a title that fit with DS.
Of course.
And the game was garbage because when you sprint, it uses up your health.
Wow, so they took a lot of inspiration from that.
And when you attack, it would use up your health.
Oh my god, this is just Shenmue.
And you had to heal with these consumables, which were stupidly expensive. And here's also the kicker. When you're out grinding and fighting random mobs, you have to toggle whether you're going to earn experience from that battle or if you're going to earn items.
That's awful.
It was so bad. It was such a shitty game.
Do that.
I don't fucking know.
Speaking of why would you do that, a headline just popped up on my phone. Amazon under fire for selling Auschwitz Christmas ornaments.
Oh. What?
What? Can we look at those?
Let's not. Okay, so Final Fantasy VII Remake's coming out in 2020 as well. And if you're not a fan of the cover where Cloud's doing, you know, looking up at Shinra Tower and it was a Shinra Tower, yeah, and holding his Sorma. It's a reversible cover. You can just do the one you've seen in the placeholder artwork where it's like black with the little meteor and the Final Fantasy VII logo. And then the one with Cloud reenacted with better graphics, looking up at the thing. With that being said, I found it when I was looking at the artwork for it. Again, I'm excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Josh could care less, and I know my Mallory. But with that being the case, I was looking at it, and I just find it so off that it just says Final Fantasy VII and literally the word remake. You think they would have just called it Final Fantasy VII and everyone would do the job of parentheses 2020, like what they did with Doom.
Yeah.
Parentheses 2016. It's not really called Doom 2016.
Yeah.
Everyone just refers it to that because of same with Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 2019. But it's not literally called Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yeah.
Or I just felt it was weird that it actually says the word remake on there. It didn't really hit me until I was looking at the box art where I'm just like, it really says remake on there, doesn't it? Like, that's actually on the thing. I don't know. To me, it makes it look a little cheap. A little project name on there. It is weird. Call it that. Everyone should refer to it as that, you know.
But you don't have to actually put it on the...
Yeah, that's weird. That was one of those calls where I really do question it, but we'll see. Tencent. Lovely, lovely Tencent. Buying another developer, Sumo Games or whatever. They ended up buying 15 million shares, own 10% of the company now. Tencent just doing their thing where 10% here, 10 cent there, and doing all that stuff. And with that being the case, it's just like they have their hooks and everything, but to the point where it's big enough where like people would be scared to piss them off, but little enough where they don't go everything's owned by Tencent. It's like they're trying to avoid a monopoly type thing, but like they're getting their hooks in so many things. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
If you do a research, if you're a big video game fan guy, look at how, especially if you're into mainstream games, look at how many of the games you know may not say Tencent up front, but on the back end of things, they have a stake in there of a varying 5, 10+%. Epic Games, 50%. think about that, look into that, and you'd be really scared how many things you really do have in the background, maybe on the puppet strings, Tencent influence. It's crazy. And Tencent's not a moral company, that's for sure. They are what you would expect from a huge tyrant Chinese corporation. Like, they just want everything. They want a slice of all the pies. It's crazy. But yeah, so they've bought a stake in another studio. It's just getting really scary, big and small, how many they're just buying in. That's it for the week.
That's it?
That's it. We're there. We made it. For those of you who made it to the end, thank you so much. Again, we want to thank Miss Kyla Massie, formerly of Pristin, on there. Pristin forever, actually. Not formerly. Pristin always. And we always support her. We got her channels on there. We're going to link them all down below. Definitely check her out, as if she needs the help, right? But it's always nice to support her. She was such a sweetheart. She was so nice to take her time out of her very, very hectic schedule to make time for us. And we really do appreciate that. Like the rest of our guests, she has family on that. So always hit us up, Kyla. Anything you need, we got you. All right? And until next week, where it's totally live on... No, we never say it's live.
No, we never say it's live.
This
just airs.
This is just the gag.
Yeah.
By the way, I've had to cut it out several times because I keep saying 10 a.m. every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. Until... disconnectedguest.com. Until then, Jesus, let's do that again. I'm going to leave this all in, but let's do it again.
Okay, we're doing it again.
We're doing it live.
Doing it live.
All right, we're just doing it live. We're doing it all right. You can catch us every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time at disconnectedcast.com. And until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. Until then, see you.
Bye.
Refreshing.